Okay, so now we're getting into the really important concept of consumer offsets. So we know about consumer, we know about offsets, but we don't know yet about consumer offsets. So Kafka basically has a capability that is able to restore the offsets at which a consumer group has been reading. And that's very convenient. Think of it as like checkpointing or bookmarking, okay? And these offsets, they're committed as your consumer group reads data, so they commit it live, and they will be stored in a Kafka topic. And that Kafka topic is named underscore underscore consumer underscore offsets. And so it's good for you to know. Now, when a consumer basically in a group, we've seen the group before, when this has processed data and done what it needs to do, then it will be committing the offsets into Kafka. And committing the offsets is the action of writing to the topic named consumer offsets. This is done again automatically for you, or you can program it. You don't have to implement it yourself. Now, why would we do this? Well, we would do this because if a consumer dies, okay, if your machine goes down and then your consumer goes back up, it will be able to read back exactly from where it left off, okay? Because it says, hey, by the way, I've done everything up to this offset and I was dead, now I'm back alive. So now I know I can start at this offset and continue to read from there. And so here's an example, okay? So this is our topic. And as you can see, it has many offsets, like 4,269 all the way there. And we have our consumer from a consumer group. So it's been consuming for a while now. And so after processing a bit, it's going to say, I'm going to commit my offsets at 4262, right after 4262. And then it says, cool, I got it. And then it's going to read from this offsets from 4262. And so that's the action. So even if it went down, Kafka will say, hey, by the way, 4262 is your committed offsets. This is where you should start to read from. And the consumer says, okay, I'm going to ask for 4263, 4264, etc., etc. And so that's the concept of committing offsets. Now, committing offsets implies something called delivery semantics. And I'm going to give you an intro to this. We're going to see this in much greater detail in the next lessons in the advanced section. But right now, at a high level, you need to understand that the consumers, they choose when they commit their offsets. Okay, you have the possibility to choose this. And so that gives you 3 delivery semantics. At most once, at least once, and exactly once. So first, at most once, it's when offsets are committed as soon as the message is received. Okay? And if the processing goes wrong, the message will be lost. It won't be read again. I'll have a slide on this in the advanced section explaining exactly what happens. So at most once is usually not preferred. At least once is usually the preferred way of consuming. So you commit your offsets only after your messages have been processed. So you read data, you do something with the data, and then you commit the offsets. Now, if the processing goes wrong, so if your consumer goes down, then the messages will be read again. And so that's why it's called at least once. Before, it won't be read again, so it's called at most once, and now it's read twice, so it's called at least once. So because there can be duplicate processing of message, because you can read the same message twice using this mechanism, you need to make sure that your processing system is idempotent. That means that if you process the same message twice, it will not impact your system, okay? And then you have exactly once. And exactly once is the last mode. It's kind of like the holy grail. And so it can only be achieved for Kafka to Kafka workflows using the Kafka Streams API. Maybe it can be achieved using Spark and other stuff, but you have to look into their documentation specifically. But it's only from Kafka to Kafka. Now, for Kafka to external system, for example, from Kafka to a database, you definitely want exactly once. You don't want to have duplicates into your database. But for this, you have to use an idempotent consumer. So anything that mentions that Kafka to external system is exactly once, most likely means that it's using an idempotent consumer, which makes sure that there's no duplicates in the final database, okay? So just remember these 3 delivery semantics. We'll go do a deep dive into them during this course, okay? But at a high level, you have to choose whether or not you want to see messages at most once, at least once when you get duplicates, or exactly once when you do Kafka to Kafka workflows. All right? Sounds good? Then I will see you in the next lecture.